It had been 21 years since Antonio Banderas and Pedro Almodóvar made a film together. They made Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down in 1989, 1990, and it took them 21 years to make another one after being so perfect together within the 80s. With Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown and Law of Desire, Matador, 21 years had passed since Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down. And The Skin I Live In gives us yet another Antonio Banderas and Almodovar film where Antonio kidnaps someone, ties them up, and forces them to feel passion for him. The Skin I Live In was adapted from a French book called Tarantula. It's a highly stylistic, deeply creepy film about sexual assault, about sex itself, about forced feminization, and about sex change as torture. This is his Jonathan Demme type of film. This is his Silence of the Lambs. It's his B movie with within the skin of the art house. I do enjoy it. I do like it. I've never been that interested in it though, and it's frustrating to me as someone who is like a super fan of Pedro Almodovar's films that this is the one that most Americans seem to be familiar with most. It doesn't fucking make sense. It's like if Shutter Island was Martin Scorsese's most known film in Spain, it'd be like, but why that one? Why that one though? It doesn't really have all like it has some of the trademarks, some of the signatures of the great auteur, but it's not really like within the essential canon. It's completely outside of it, actually. I've always been low key frustrated, but pretty damn curious about why The Skin I Live In is so well known to Americans. And I think a large part of it has to do with being released in 2011 and with like cinephile culture at the time gaining more visibility, more cultural prominence, having more access to more information and access to just more foreign films in general. The subject matter was about to get pretty fucking taboo, more taboo than it was in 2011. So it's kind of aged well. If your metric for aging well is becoming more and more controversial and problematic over time. But rewatching it today, I felt like I was watching like a precursor to the A24 wave of films, right? This came out before A24 was a thing, before A24 kind of left its stamp on both millennial and Gen Z film culture. Like A24 would come to dominate horror and alternative like cinema for the next 10 to 15 years. After The Skin I Live In. And when I'm watching The Skin I Live In, I'm like, this is kind of what every A24 movie tries to be. You know, like just what I said at the beginning, it's a B movie within the skin of the art house, which is what kind of A24 tries to do so much. I see a lot of like what would become trendy in cinephile circles within the skin I live in, and really only in the skin I live in when it comes to Almodovar. This is kind of a unique picture for him, not simply because he's adapting someone else's work. I do prefer his original screenplays over the adaptations. Uh, but because he is, like I said, he's playing with more exploitative genre tropes, and having a little bit more fun with it. I think that I think this film has a lot of comedic elements that get suffocated by how creepy the themes are kind of determined to be. You know, I think there is some of that Almodovar absurd comedy in here, even some of that punk rock attitude here, but it kind of gets suffocated by the source material, possibly. Yes, it is a film that explores forced feminization, betrayal, trauma, grief, loss, obsession. It's essentially Almodovar's mad scientist movie. It's a B movie within the skin of the art house. Like it is really well composed. There's a lot more meaning within every frame than there ought to be, you know, for this kind of story, for the story that he's telling. I don't even believe Almodovar's heart is fully within the majority of the picture. You can tell when he cares. And when he cares is mostly within the last 30 minutes of the movie, or possibly when we finally meet Vincent when he was male presenting, when we finally meet Vincent, that's when I kind of start seeing Almodovar proper here and there, Almodovar really caring about what he's doing, like here and there. Uh, I don't mean to imply this is a carelessly made film. It's not. It's just that Almodovar's heart isn't in the majority of it. The majority of it, I think he's having fun. I think he likes working with Antonio, and he's really happy to be working with him again and to have him play such a truly diabolical and devious and deliciously evil character. But like, I think he's just having fun within exploitation genre filmmaking for most of it, and he can't help but be the genius that he is. So every single scene is like beautiful and has something wacky within it. Like the idea that a man dressed up as a lousy, weird, colorful tiger is raping this woman who is obviously coded as a deer, who we find out is like the victim of a forced sex change. Like, that's can't even say it with a straight face because it is part of the B movie. This film has a lot in common, I think, with Dario Argento. It's almost like Almodovar kind of wanted to make something that was inspired by the giallo, especially like since Argento also liked to focus on subversions within transgender cinematic languages and tropes and images. Argento did the same fucking thing. A lot of the giallo guys did the same thing. So I think that Almodovar kind of wanted to do that, especially since I think Argento fully fits the B movie within the skin of the art house. You know, like look at Deep Red, look at Tenebrae. It's exactly what that is. And I think that's kind of what Almodovar was going for here with a little bit more emphasis on queerness. I just don't believe the film is supposed to be taken all that seriously because so much of it is kind of creepiness for creepiness's own sake. Sexual cruelty, sexual degeneracy, sexual control for perversion's sake, for the sake of torture itself. Just like how Law of Desire, in Almodovar's own words, was a film about passion for its own sake. I think that The Skin I Live In is about controversy for its own sake, or creepiness for its own sake, or sexual cruelty for its own sake, because it should be a film about identity, right? And like what is at the core of the soul. And while the film does at least ponder that question, and I would say significantly does ponder that question, its heart isn't fully in that part of it. The the most engaged the film feels is during those scenes of torture, during the scenes of rape. It's a B movie to me, a B movie within the skin of the art house. It's enjoyable for sure. It's just not even close to an Almodovar masterpiece. It's not even close to an Almodovar classic. I do think the most interesting thing about this film is what I started this video with. The idea that Banderas and Almodovar, one of the two greatest muse and artist partnerships within film, took 21 years in between Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down, and The Skin I Live In. I think it's beautiful for that reunion. And they decided to reunite under the banner of grotesquerie, under the banner of kind of barbaric statements about sexuality, forced feminization, and the enduring identity of victims. By hyperfixating on all of the deranged insecurities within Antonio Banderas' mad scientist character. And I think that The Skin I Live In does make you run the whole gamut of the emotional spectrum. You know, like you're shocked, you're possibly turned on here and there, you know, there's no problem in that. And then you find things funny, you're excited, hell, you're bored sometimes. Like this movie had like the entire spectrum of emotions. And the comedy is unique in The Skin I Live In because it's derived from sadism by extreme, how extremely sadistic this film is, like shamelessly so. And now's the time where I give a huge amount of genuine praise to Elena Anaya. She was incredible here as Vera, as a Vincent. But really, there's a transformative theme to this film as well. The soul and the skin are not simply separate from each other, but they coexist within the same soulful package. I think Elena gave the only performance of this film that can truly be called human, emotional, with any sort of true pathos to it. She kept the film interesting to me. Any sort of passion from this film, and Almodovar is a filmmaker like where passion is very important to him. All of the passion came from Elena Anaya. All of the passion came from Elena, from Vera. She did a lot of heavy lifting in this film, and I think it would have been a failure if she wasn't so gripping, so captivating. Yeah, genuine praise to Elena. She complicates this film. This film, I could easily just go, yeah, it's a B movie. Don't read too deeply into it. You can engage with the themes. It's fun to be challenged, but don't read too deeply into it. Just have fun with it. But then Elena's performance complicates it to where you are going to have to contend with more serious things. Her performance is that good that it elevates the the B movie trappings that surround her. Literally, the trappings that trap her inside of the film. I think a good way to view The Skin I Live In is like one character who is like full of soul or like battling to just hold on to their identity, being trapped within the actual trappings of exploitative genres within filmmaking. She could also be the audience as well, and Antonio is a sadistic director who is forcing us to conform to every new film or every new project that they're putting out. And the audience has been undergoes forced feminization, forced everything. It could be like that. It could be fun. It could be fun to analyze this movie in a lot of different ways, but the point of what I'm saying right now is that Elena Anaya is superb here. I did see that Penelope Cruz was who Pedro originally wanted as Vera, and I can see that working. I'm glad it didn't happen though. Because I think that Penelope Cruz and Almodovar, they do the best work together. I like Almodovar and Banderas together, but I don't. They're not as good as Cruz and Almodovar. And I think that if you look at Cruz's work from like Live Flesh and All About My Mother all the way up to Parallel Mothers, like there's a certain kind of like narrative of Cruz through that, and I think that The Skin I Live In would have damaged that, like the progression of her as a muse for Almodovar through the films, like a separate narrative of the muse through all of the works that they did together. The Skin I Live In would have damaged that, so I'm happy that for whatever reason Penelope was not involved in this project. I'm happy she wasn't. Elena Anaya, I think, did really, really well. I do like these muse pictures, right? Almodovar and Banderas, Almodovar and Cruz, Almodovar and any number of his girls, the famous Almodovar girls, right? Because like through these films that they operate in a bunch of different ways. And one of those ways is a actual like a documentary of their relationship, of their friendship through like we can follow Almodovar and Banderas's friendship relationship from like the early 80s all the way up to now. Like I think that's a kind of a beautiful thing, and The Skin I Live In is a significant chapter in that. It marks their reunion. All things considered, The Skin I Live In is a good movie. It's unique in Almodovar's catalog. It's, I think, a blast to watch. And thanks to a key performance from Elena Anaya, it's actually a film that does end up confronting you with some dark material that you are forced to contend with as a viewer. I think it is a good movie. All right. I don't think it's like anywhere close to masterful. I think it's like pretty good. It's pretty good stuff. I like seeing Almodovar be kind of trashy with it. I like seeing him be kind of trashy with it, dude. Like, hell yeah, work your thing, brother.